Hi, this is Kevin Deal, and today we're going to break it down with the PrimaLuna Evolution 100 integrated amplifier. This is the latest rendition of the original Prologue 1. The Prologue 1 is one of the most cherished and loved amplifiers in the history of hi-fi. In fact, they are worth more now than they were when they were built back in 2003. And I've told you that for years, and you don't believe me, but I'm telling you it's true. I saw that amplifier started out at $1,095. And I was so surprised to see that one just sold that was used for $950 some time ago. And I told you that they're going up in value. Well, one just sold on eBay for $1,750. Why is that? Because of the way that PrimaLunas are made, because of point-to-point wiring, and because of the transformers. And I'm going to break it down for you. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to compare this to an integrated amp that's made by another manufacturer that sells for $9,000. And I'm going to show you why. This is a superior product that is built better and will sound as good or better than that $9,000 product. Am I making things up? No, I'm going to show you why. True to PrimaLuna, this amplifier uses a toroidal power transformer. Toroidal transformers are the gold standard, but very few manufacturers use them because they're just too expensive. But toroids don't radiate any noise. In fact, they radiate 1/10 of the magnetic field that a regular EI or C-core transformer radiates. So that drops the noise floor. Not only that, they have an 8-to-1 reduction in mechanical noise because they don't have an air gap. But PrimaLuna takes that toroidal transformer and takes it even further because they've done two things. The transformer is mounted in a non-microphonic resin, and then it's placed into a mu metal can. Again, don't worry so much about power. A 36-watt PrimaLuna amplifier will outperform a 100-watt tube amp from any other manufacturer. And I'm not kidding you when I say this. It's not about power. You don't want high power from a tube amp because that means they're running high plate and screen voltage, and that means a shorter tube life. People are always afraid. They go, tube amplifiers are a hassle. They are not a hassle. When you buy the wrong one, it's a hassle. PrimaLuna only runs 417 volts to the plates. No company is going to tell you what they did because they don't want you to know because it's bad news. Run low plate voltage, run low power. But to get dynamic range is the difference between light and dark and loud and soft. So drop the noise level, and that's what they've done with this power transformer. And then if you want good bass response, you don't get it from watts. You get good bass response from bandwidth. And in a tube amplifier, that comes from the output transformers, period. Some of the worst bass I've ever heard is from a pair of big monoblock amps that had crappy output transformers. But PrimaLuna is one of only a handful of manufacturers that designs and winds their own output transformers in-house. And if you read the reviews, read what John Atkinson says in Stereophile magazine when he talks about the perfect square waves, because we have very high quality output transformers, and that's super, super important. Now, let's talk about adaptive auto-bias. Some people think that adaptive auto-bias is about convenience, and it's true. You don't want to have to get out a multimeter and a screwdriver and have to mess with stuff. But PrimaLuna invented adaptive auto-bias to make the amplifier sound better. Bias is important. Bias is important. So what PrimaLuna did is they invented something that would look at each tube individually and constantly and keep the tube in its perfect linear position. The benefit of that is this: it cuts distortion by over 50%, but especially when you turn the music up. And it's especially effective when the tubes get old. These tubes don't age equally. In a couple of years, one of these is going to get droopy. And adaptive auto-bias is going to do the very best it can to make sure that you never know that the tubes are degrading. Now, what about when a tube fails? On that $9,000 amplifier, I'm not kidding you when I say this. If you have a tube short, it will break the amp, period. It'll take out a cathode resistor, it'll take out a screen resistor. Not so on a PrimaLuna. Why? Because at the first sign of trouble, this relay right here on the adaptive AutoBias board is going to cut off the B+. That means the amplifier goes into protection, a little LED light lights up in front of the bad tube. All you got to do is grab another tube. It doesn't even have to be the right tube because adaptive AutoBias is so advanced, I could run 4 different tubes in here. I could run an EL34, KT88, KT90, and a KT120 in this amp, and you'd never know we were running the wrong tubes because it keeps them all in a linear position. Plug in another tube, turn the amp back on, and there you go. With other products, if one tube fails, you might be able to replace one tube if it has individual bias adjustments. You may have to replace 2 of them, or in some cases, you can't replace even 2 of them. You have to replace all 4 because it has one bias adjustment. What's fun about that? You buy this product so you can use it and have fun with it. Now, let's look at the wiring. It's all point-to-point wiring. There's no printed circuit boards in the signal path. The beauty of that is this. When you have a tube socket mounted to a PCB, there is a chance that over a period of time, tube sockets get very, very hot. Okay? And if you go to pull a tube out and you wiggle that PCB, it's going to crack. Show them a picture. I want to show you a picture of what it looks like when you have to put Band-Aids across printed circuit boards. The other downside to printed circuit boards in the signal path is many times the copper traces are not that heavy. So you're not going to be able to, just do a good job. So that's why this is all hand wired with point-to-point wiring, and it is world-class quality. All the tube sockets are ceramic. They're all on ventilated jacks bolted to the chassis. So when you take out a tube, it doesn't hurt a damn thing. Let's look at the volume control up front. On that $9,000 product, the volume control is a chip. Now, you can do a good job with chips. There are electronic volume controls that are very esoteric, that you'll never know they're electronic. It can be done. But on that other amp, the volume control is $2.50. This is a motorized Alps Blue Velvet potentiometer. Why does PrimaLuna go to that expense? Because they don't want something that sounds like a chip. Chips can, and oftentimes do, have a slight electronic sheen to them. And that's not what you want in a tube amp because you're looking for the glory of tubes and that analog warmth. So that's why PrimaLuna goes to this expense. But the Blue Velvet's the gold standard in a motorized pot, and it costs a lot more than $2.50. That's about a $50 part. On the side, you're going to see a tube selector switch. You can run any tubes in this you want. Any tube, all the way up to the KT120. Now, officially, you're not even supposed to run KT150s, but frankly, if you want to, you can. You're just not going to be able to fit it underneath the cage. So it is built to run any tube that your little heart desires. I want to show you something else. Some manufacturers use a selector switch. Now, for those of us old enough to remember TV sets, you know when you have a knob that goes like this, you have to get tuner cleaner and spray it into the contacts because contacts degrade over time. That's not the way you want to do it. The problem with a selector switch is this. They don't turn off the other inputs completely, and I know you've heard this before. You select CD, you turn the volume up, and then you can hear the tuner operating in the background. You can never eliminate that completely. That is the truth, because you know what? Signals can literally radiate in the air, but you can reduce it and almost eliminate it if you do what PrimaLuna did. Instead of a cheap switch up in the front, there's a controller board right up here, and in the back, these are relays made in Japan by Takamasawa. That's a division of Fujitsu. They're guaranteed for 50,000 openings and closings, and they're hermetically sealed. What's cool about that? You select CD, boom, that relay closes. It gives you the best contact possible and the shortest signal path. All the other relays are left open so there's no way for the signal to leak in. And you're also going to see that it's behind a shield right here to help protect it from anything that is being radiated by any of the transformers or by any of the other circuitry. It's all about the details. Now, I want to talk to you about the headphone amp portion of this, because there are people that buy this amp and never even hook speakers up to it because it is that good. Headphones are speakers. They are just little speakers. So many products that have a headphone jack use the $5 solution. The $5 solution is just an op amp. And for most people, they'll never even know it's happening unless you take the product apart. PrimaLuna did it different. There's a controller board up here, and it opens and closes a set of relays back here. Listen, if you've got the best tube amp, and if you've got the best output transformers, take advantage of it. So when you switch to headphones, the relays close. Boom. It takes the signal right off the output transformers. It runs them to a voltage divider network. And now you have an all-tube headphone amp. And it's not just any, I'm telling you, it is one of the best headphone amps that you can buy, period. And it'll run just about anything. Now, some of the super crazy planar magnetic headphones, maybe it's not going to be a good choice, but I'd have to say for about 90% of the headphones out there, it is absolute heaven. The remote control, now this is something I really love. Compared to the earlier models, they have a new beautiful cage. You've got 5 coats of hand rub finish. Look at the $9,000 product. It's got a flat silver. All these other manufacturers, they use either flat black or a flat silver. You know why? Because it hides machine marks, it hides imperfections. PrimaLuna has 5 coats of hand rub finish. All the new products have new metalwork with beautiful machined edges, and the remote control has been redesigned. It's a little bit sleeker. It's a beautiful machined remote. It's got neoprene rings around the edges to protect your furniture. I mean, how gorgeous is that? You know, that's the thing about PrimaLuna. Oh, they added one more thing. Now, I told you there's a relay on the adaptive AutoBias board. There's also a doomsday fuse in case something really goofy happens. And I literally have had people, I had a guy who had too many drinks and he tripped over the tubes in his amp. There's an additional protection fuse right here on the side. You've got a 4 ohm tap and an 8 ohm tap for your loudspeakers, so it doesn't just have one set of speaker taps. You want to get the best marriage between the amplifier and your speakers. Look, this thing weighs over 39 pounds. The $9,000 product is 36.5 pounds. It doesn't have near the parts quality. You know, so it sounds crazy to say it's a better product, but use your noggin. Don't buy the stories that these manufacturers give you. Use common sense. Look at photographs inside. Go to the web, go to Google, type in the competitive product, and so go to Google Images and look to see what's inside the box. Make sure that you get something for your money. The EVO 100 integrated amplifier is going to be another collectible, just like that Prologue one. At some point, I would hope that this will be worth more than it was on the day that you bought it. And it is truly, truly built to last a lifetime. Thanks for listening.